His tattooed hand locked around her waist before Tiana could step away, before she could remember that men like Kyung-Soo Han didn't touch women like her without taking everything. The red silk of her gown bunched beneath his fingers as he pulled her back against him, his breath hot against her throat. A single tear traced down her cheek, part fear, part something she refused to name. "If you stay," her voice fractured, "you'll get us both killed." His grip tightened, possessive and unrelenting. "Then let them come." But before we dive into how a 4-5-year-old Jamaican event planner ended up in the arms of a Korean mafia boss, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. We can't. The words barely left her lips before he kissed her again, deeper this time, swallowing her protests whole. His hands framed her face like she was porcelain he was terrified of breaking. And God, she wanted to break, wanted to shatter into 1,000 pieces in his arms. "Tell me to stop," Kyung-Soo whispered against her mouth, his forehead pressed to hers, both of them trembling. "Tell me you don't feel this." She couldn't. Heaven help her, she couldn't. The sound of voices in the hallway hotel staff. Security crashed through the haze. They sprang apart, both breathing hard, his dark eyes fixed on her with something between hunger and fear. Tiana's lips felt swollen, her carefully pinned hair coming loose, and she could still feel the ghost of his touch burning through the silk. "I have to." She gestured helplessly toward the ballroom entrance. "I know," but Kyung-Soo caught her wrist, gentle but urgent. "Tiana," her name in his mouth was dangerous. "This isn't nothing," he said. "I know that too." Her voice cracked. "That's what scares me." She fled toward the gala, smoothing her gown with shaking hands, painting on the professional smile she'd perfected over 20 years. But her mind was spinning backward, trying to understand how she'd gone from swearing off men forever to kissing a 1-year-old Korean businessman. No, not businessman. She knew what he was now, in a service corridor like her life depended on it. It had started 3 months ago. Not with the kiss. With the storm. 3 months earlier. The downpour had turned Montego Bay into chaos, and Tiana Campbell was already running on 3 hours of sleep when she arrived at the Seabreeze Grand Hotel at 6:47 a.m. The charity gala was in 12 hours. Half her vendors had canceled due to the storm. The centerpieces were wrong. The sound system was malfunctioning, and the hotel manager was nowhere to be found. She was rechecking the seating chart for the 3rd time when the ballroom doors flew open with such force they slammed against the walls. A man stumbled in, completely drenched, clutching a leather briefcase to his chest. Water streamed from his black hair, his expensive suit plastered to his frame, and his dark eyes swept the ballroom with frantic intensity. "The event director," he said, accent soft but urgent. "Where is she?" Tiana came around the registration table, professional instincts overriding curiosity. "I'm the director. Who are you?" "Kyung-Soo Han." He was breathing hard, like he'd run here. "I'm your client, the private donor who funded this gala, and I need you to stop them." "Stop who?" "The hotel." His jaw tightened. "They're trying to relocate the event to the West Wing. Some VIP wedding got double booked. If you move this gala, the setup you've designed won't work. The lighting, the acoustics, the flow, everything you've built for 3 months will be destroyed." Something in his desperation struck a chord. Tiana knew what it felt like to watch something you'd poured yourself into get casually destroyed by people who didn't care. "The manager told me the move was already approved," she said carefully. He lied. Kyung-Soo pulled out his phone, water dripping onto the screen. "I'm the primary investor in this hotel's renovation project. They don't move anything without my approval, and I'm not giving it. Then we need to find the manager. Now. He's on the 3rd floor with the wedding party." Kyung-Soo was already moving toward the door. He paused, turned back. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet." But she was already following him, abandoning her clipboard, running through the rain toward the administrative offices where a harried manager was promising a bride that the ballroom would be available. "It won't be." Kyung-Soo's voice cut through the chaos. The manager paled. "Mr. Han, I didn't realize. You didn't check." Kyung-Soo stepped forward, and despite being drenched and half the size of the security guard beside the manager, there was something immovable in his stance, something that made the air shift. "The charity gala stays in the main ballroom. Find another venue for the wedding, or I pull my investment from this hotel. You have 10 minutes to decide." "Mr. Han, please be reasonable." "I'm being extremely reasonable." His voice dropped, went cold. "I could have made this much more unpleasant." The threat hung in the air, quiet but absolute. The manager swallowed hard, glanced at Tiana, then back at Kyung-Soo. The gala stays. When they stepped back into the hallway, silence pressed down. Rain drummed against the windows. Kyung-Soo stood there, soaked and trembling, staring at her like he'd just fought a battle. "Thank you," he said, voice rough, "for backing me up in there. You didn't need my backup." Tiana found herself smiling despite the chaos. You had him terrified in 30 seconds. Appearances can be useful. His answering smile was small, genuine, transforming his entire face from dangerous to devastating. But your support mattered more than you know. He extended a hand, formal despite being drenched. I should properly introduce myself. Kyung-Soo Han, tech investor, part-time philanthropist, full-time disaster. Tiana Campbell. She took his hand, felt the calluses, the strength, the way his grip lingered just a moment too long. Event planner, crisis manager, apparently champion of charity galas. Can I buy you coffee? After the gala tonight? To say thank you properly? You don't have to. I want to. Something in the way he said it made her pulse jump. She nodded, not trusting her voice. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of Kyung-Soo attending every planning meeting, offering input on details most clients never cared about. 3 months of finding orchids delivered to her office with notes that said simply, "For making impossible things happen." 3 months of conversations that stretched past midnight, his eyes on her in a way that made her forget she was 45 and he was 31, and there were 1,000 reasons this was dangerous. 3 months of building toward the moment when everything would explode, which brought her back to now. To the service corridor. To the kiss that tasted like rain and desperation and 14 years of walls finally cracking open. The gala was in full swing. Tiana moved through the crowd on autopilot, adjusting florals, directing staff, ensuring every detail was flawless, but she could feel Kyung-Soo's eyes on her from across the ballroom, tracking her every movement. At 10:15, when most of the guests had moved to the terrace for dancing, he appeared at her elbow. "We need to talk. I'm working." "Tiana." Her name again, dangerous and soft. "Please." She followed him to an alcove behind the stage. Their alcove, she realized. When had it become theirs? "I'm sorry," he started. "Earlier I shouldn't have. Don't apologize." The words came out sharper than she intended. "Don't make this into something you regret." "I don't regret it." He stepped closer, intensity radiating from him. "I regret that it happened in a hallway instead of somewhere you deserved. I regret that I've been wanting to do that for 3 months and didn't have the courage until I thought." He stopped, jaw tight. "Thought what?" "Until I received word this morning that I have to leave Jamaica." His eyes were dark, conflicted. "There's a business situation in Seoul that requires my immediate attention, probably for months. And my first thought wasn't about the crisis or the money or the company. It was that I'd have to leave you." The world tilted. "You're leaving." "I don't want to." "But you will." Bitter certainty flooded through her. "They always do." The words hung between them like an accusation. Kyung-Soo's hand shot across the space, catching hers before she could pull away. "Who's they?" His voice went soft, dangerous. "Who hurt you? It doesn't matter." "It matters to me." His grip tightened, desperate. "Tiana, I've been in Jamaica for 3 months, and in that time you've become..." He broke off, struggling. "You've become the reason I fabricate excuses to attend planning meetings. The reason I stay awake at night wondering if you think about me the way I think about you. The reason I can't get on that plane without knowing." "I'm 45 years old," she interrupted, voice cracking. "You're 31. This is real." He pulled her against him before she could finish, and his mouth found hers again. This kiss was different. Slower, deeper, a question and an answer all at once. His hand slid into her hair, tilting her head back, and she melted against him with a sound that should have embarrassed her but didn't. When they broke apart, both breathless, he pressed his forehead to hers. "Tell me you don't feel this," he whispered. "Tell me this is just proximity and gratitude, and I'll walk away right now." "I can't." The admission tore out of her. "I can't tell you that." "Then give me a chance. Give us a chance." "For what? 3 months? 6? Until Soul calls and you realize..." He kissed her again, cutting off her spiral of fear. This time his hands found her waist, pulling her flush against him, and she could feel his heart hammering as hard as hers. When he pulled back, his eyes were blazing. "I'm not leaving," he said. "Not unless you tell me to. I'll delay Soul. I'll find another solution. I'll do whatever it takes if it means..." "Don't." She put her hand over his mouth, panic rising. "Don't sacrifice your business for someone you barely know. Don't make promises you can't keep." He kissed her palm, then gently moved her hand away. "I know you well enough. I know you remember every vendor's preference and every dietary restriction. I know you hum old reggae songs when you're stressed and think no one's listening. I know you take your coffee black at 6 a.m. because you think you don't deserve the sweetness." His voice dropped, raw and honest. "And I know someone made you believe you weren't worth staying for. But Tiana, that person was a fool." Tears burned behind her eyes. "You don't understand. 5 years ago, your ex-husband..." Kyung-Soo's expression shifted to something fierce, protective. Robert, I know. Her blood went cold. How do you... Because I've been watching you for 3 months. Memorizing everything about you. He cupped her face with both hands. And I've seen the way you flinch when clients mention their husbands. The way you never wear your ring finger jewelry on the left hand. The way you build walls so high no one can possibly climb them. Then you understand why this can't. Stop. His thumbs brushed away tears she hadn't realized were falling. Stop deciding for both of us that this can't work. Stop using 14 years and an age gap as armor. Stop punishing yourself for someone else's cruelty. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. He kissed her softly, tenderly. But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe with anyone else. A voice called her name from the ballroom staff emergency, something about the dessert service. They sprang apart, and reality crashed back. I have to... Tiana gestured helplessly. I know. But Kyung-soo caught her hand one more time. After tonight, we talk. Really talk. About everything. She nodded, not trusting her voice, and fled back to the gala. But as she directed the pastry chef and soothed a panicked waiter, one thought circled her mind. Kyung-soo-han knew about Robert, which meant he'd been paying attention in ways that should terrify her. Instead, for the first time in 5 years, Tiana Campbell let herself hope. And 3 hours later, when the gala ended and Kyung-soo found her in that service corridor, when he kissed her like a man who'd waited lifetimes instead of months, when she kissed back with everything she'd kept locked away, everything changed. The morning after the gala, Tiana woke to 17 missed calls and a contract on her doorstep. The envelope was cream-colored, expensive, sealed with actual wax, a detail that should have felt romantic, but instead sent ice down her spine. Inside, a single page outlined terms for a private event. Location, undisclosed. Date, 3 weeks out. Guest list, confidential. Budget, unlimited. At the bottom, Kyung-soo's signature sharp, precise, final, and a handwritten note. We still need to talk. This gives us a reason. Tiana's hands shook as she set down her coffee. She should refuse, should maintain professional distance, should remember that last night's kisses were a moment of weakness, not a pattern to repeat. She called him at 9 a.m. I accept the contract, she said without preamble. But we keep this professional. Kyung-soo's low chuckle down the line made her stomach flip. Of course, professional. The way he said it like the word meant something entirely different in his language made her regret calling immediately. They met that evening at his rental villa in Ironshore. Tiana told herself it was necessary, that luxury event clients always preferred privacy, but when she pulled up to the gated property, security cameras tracking her approach, she felt like she was crossing a threshold she couldn't uncross. Kyung-soo answered the door in black slacks and a white shirt rolled to his elbows, exposing the tattoos she'd felt but not fully seen. Intricate symbols wrapped around his forearms, Korean characters she couldn't read, a dragon, something that looked like a family crest. Thank you for coming. He stepped aside, and she caught his scent cedar, and something darker, dangerous. You're paying me to come. Am I? His smile was slight, knowing. I thought maybe you wanted to see me again. Don't. She moved past him into the villa, all marble and minimalist furniture. Don't make this about last night. Then what should I make it about? Tiana set her portfolio on his dining table with more force than necessary. The event. You said you need a planner for business associates. I need details. Guest count. Dietary restrictions. Atmosphere you're trying to create. 15 guests. Kyung-soo interrupted, moving closer. All male. No dietary restrictions that matter. And the atmosphere I'm trying to create is one where men who don't trust each other can sit in a room without killing each other. She looked up sharply. Excuse me? You asked for details. He leaned against the table, close enough that she could see the scar bisecting his left eyebrow. I'm giving them to you. These are business partners from Seoul, Vancouver, and Los Angeles. They have complicated relationships. This dinner is about negotiating peace. Peace from what? From war. The word hung between them, heavy and absolute. Tiana's pulse hammered. I'm talking about men who've spent 6 months trying to kill each other, Kyung-soo said quietly. And I'm the person trying to convince them there's more money and cooperation than corpses. Which means this dinner needs to be perfect, intimidating enough to remind them who's in control, but comfortable enough that they actually talk instead of shoot. And you think I can create that atmosphere? At a dinner party? I know you can. He reached across the table, adjusted her bracelet, a thin gold chain that had twisted, and the brush of his fingers against her wrist made her breath catch. I watched you transform that ballroom last night. You made a charity gala feel like a coronation. You controlled every detail, every moment, every emotion in that room. His thumb traced the inside of her wrist, barely touching, devastating. That's what I need, he continued, voice dropping. Someone who understands power. Someone who can build a stage where everyone knows their place. Tiana pulled her hand back, heart racing. You need an event planner, not a set designer for Mafia theater. I need you. The certainty in his voice made her want to run, made her want to lean closer. This is insane, she said. You realize that? You're asking me to help broker peace between criminals. I'm asking you to do your job. Kyung-soo straightened, and just like that, the intimacy vanished. His expression went cold, professional. You create experiences. I'm paying you extremely well to create one specific experience. If you're not comfortable, decline the contract. I should, but you won't. He smirked, then that same knowing expression from the hotel hallway, and Tiana felt something dangerous unfurl in her chest. Why are you so certain? She demanded. Because you're curious. He moved around the table, and she found herself backing up until her spine hit the wall. Because you spent 5 years hiding from life, and now someone's offering you something real. Something that scares you. You don't know anything about me. I know you were married to a man who made you small. Kyung-soo's voice went soft, deadly. I know he controlled your money, your friends, your choices. I know you spent a decade apologizing for existing. And I know that when you finally left him, you rebuilt yourself into someone who never apologizes, never bends, never lets anyone close enough to hurt you again. Tiana's breath stopped. How? Because I recognize armor when I see it. He placed one hand on the wall beside her head, close but not touching. Because I wear the same kind. And because last night, when I kissed you, I felt it crack. She couldn't finish. Couldn't think with him this close. Terrifying? Kyung-soo supplied. Yes, but also inevitable. Nothing's inevitable. Tell me you haven't thought about last night. His gaze dropped to her mouth. Tell me you didn't spend today remembering how I tasted. Heat flooded through her. That's not we can't. We can't what? Want each other? Too late. His thumb traced her jawline, featherlight. Can't act on it? That's the only rule left. And Tiana, I'm very good at breaking rules. She should push him away, should walk out, should protect herself from whatever this was. Instead, she heard herself whisper, When do you need me to start planning? Victory flashed in his eyes. Tomorrow. We'll need to scout locations. I'll pick you up at 10. I can drive myself. I know you can. He stepped back, giving her space to breathe. But I want to spend time with you, and I'm done pretending I don't. Tiana grabbed her portfolio with shaking hands. This is a professional arrangement. Of course. I mean it, Kyung-soo. I believe you. But his smile said otherwise. I'll walk you out. At her car, she paused. Why me? For this event, I mean. You could hire anyone. Someone with experience in high-security situations. Someone who, because you don't scare easy. He opened her door. And because the moment I saw you in that ballroom, ordering around a hotel manager like you owned the building, I knew you were someone who understood power dynamics, who could walk into a room full of predators and make them behave. That's a lot of assumption based on one interaction. I'm good at reading people. His hand found hers briefly. It's how I've stayed alive this long. The casual mention of survival made her stomach twist. Kyung-soo, what exactly are you involved in? Nothing you need to worry about. If I'm planning this dinner, then you need to trust me to keep you safe. His expression hardened. Which I will, no matter what. There was something in his voice, a promise or a threat. She couldn't tell which. 10 a.m. tomorrow, she confirmed. I'll be there. She was halfway home when she realized he'd never actually told her where the event would be held, or given her the guest list, or explained what negotiating peace really meant, and she realized something else. She was going back tomorrow anyway, because Kyung-soo was right. She was curious, terrified and furious and completely, dangerously curious. At a red light, her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You shouldn't look at me like I'm safe. Another buzz. Because I'm not, and neither are you anymore. Tiana stared at the messages, pulse hammering. She should block the number. Should turn around and tear up the contract. Instead, she saved his contact and drove home with her heart racing and the ghost of his touch still burning on her wrist. The trap had been set, and she'd walked into it willingly. Tomorrow, she'd start planning an event for criminals, for men who solved problems with violence, for a 1-year-old Korean man with tattooed hands and a smile that promised ruin. But tonight, alone in her house with the doors locked and the lights off, Tiana let herself admit the truth. She wasn't running. Not yet, maybe not ever. Kyung-soo picked her up at exactly 10 a.m. In a black Mercedes with windows tinted dark enough to be illegal. Tiana climbed in, clutching her tablet and professional composure, both of which felt increasingly useless. Good morning. He pulled away from her house smoothly. Coffee? I've had 3 cups already. Nervous. Prepared, she corrected. Where are we going? Location scouting. I'm considering 3 properties. He glanced at her, dark eyes unreadable. All private estates. All secure. All places where if something goes wrong, no civilians get hurt. The casual mention of violence made her stomach clench. You really expect something to go wrong? I expect everything to go wrong. That's how I stay alive. He turned onto the coast road. But I'm very good at contingency planning. And now I have you. I'm an event planner, not a bodyguard. You're someone who thinks 3 steps ahead, who anticipates problems before they happen, who controls chaos. His hand moved from the gear shift to rest on the console between them. That's exactly what I need. They drove in silence for 20 minutes, the ocean glittering beside them. Tiana tried to focus on her notes, but her attention kept drifting to Kyung-soo, the way he drove with precise control, the way tension lived in his shoulders, the way he checked the mirrors constantly. Tell me about your guests, she said finally. If I'm creating an atmosphere, I need to understand the dynamics. They're businessmen. Kyung-soo. He smiled slightly at her tone, that same calm authority he'd mentioned, the one that apparently intrigued him. Fine. 3 factions. Vancouver Group runs shipping logistics, mostly legal with occasional gray areas. LA Group handles financial services, money laundering, investments. Seoul Group, my people, we handle multiple interests. Property, tech, security. Security meaning protection, enforcement, problem solving. He said it like he was describing software development. The 3 groups used to cooperate. Then 6 months ago, someone stole $40 million from a joint account. Each faction blamed the others. Things escalated. Escalated how? Bodies. Burned warehouses. A bombing in Vancouver that killed 4 people. His voice stayed level, factual. It stops now. Or we all lose more than money. Tiana processed this. And you're the one mediating? My father built the original partnership. Before he died, he made me promise to maintain it. Something flickered across Kyung-soo's face, grief, rage, she couldn't tell. So yes, I'm mediating. Whether they like it or not. The first estate was a plantation-style mansion surrounded by sugarcane fields. Beautiful, isolated, defensible. Kyung-soo walked through it with military precision, noting exit routes and sight lines, while Tiana evaluated spaces for dining and negotiation. The veranda would work, she said, standing in the afternoon light. Open enough to feel non-threatening, but the table positioning would establish clear hierarchy. You at the head, Vancouver and LA flanking, Seoul representatives behind you as a show of strength. You've done this before. Planned events where power matters? Every event is about power. She turned to face him. Corporate dinners, weddings, political fundraisers, it's all the same. You're managing egos and establishing pecking order. Yours just happens to involve people who kill each other. Does that bother you? It should, but it doesn't. Tiana met his gaze. I don't know yet. They moved through the house together, and gradually the conversation shifted. Kyung-soo asked about her business, her childhood in Kingston, the family she rarely mentioned. She found herself answering, lowering her guard in increments. At the second property, a modernist villa built into the cliffs, she finally asked what she'd been wondering. Why did you come to Jamaica, really? Kyung-soo was examining the kitchen, running his fingers along the marble countertop. I told you. Business interests. Kyung-soo, I told you. You're lying. He looked up sharply. Excuse me? You've been here 3 months, but none of your business partners are Jamaican. You don't have investments here beyond the hotel renovation. And you're planning this dinner here instead of neutral territory like Singapore or Dubai. She crossed her arms. So why Jamaica? For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then, slowly, he smiled a real smile, warm and surprised. You're right. I know. And you're not going to let this go. No. Kyung-soo moved around the counter toward her. I came here hunting someone. A man who stole from my family, who disappeared 6 months ago with money that wasn't his. Tiana's pulse quickened. And you found him? I found his trail. His connections. His weak points. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back. But then I met you, and the hunt became complicated. Complicated how? Instead of answering, he reached out and touched her hand, the same one he'd adjusted her bracelet on yesterday. This time, he noticed the scar on her palm, a thin white line across the base of her thumb. What's this from? Kitchen accident. Years ago. She tried to pull back, but he held firm. Liar. His thumb traced the scar gently. This is from broken glass. Defensive wound. Someone grabbed you. You pulled away. Cut yourself on whatever shattered. Her blood went cold. How do you... Because I've seen enough violence to recognize its aftermath. His voice dropped. Who hurt you, Tiana? It doesn't. It matters. He lifted her hand, pressed his lips to the scar in a gesture so unexpected, so tender, that tears burned behind her eyes. Tell me. And somehow, standing in a stranger's kitchen overlooking the Caribbean Sea, she did. His name was Robert. We married when I was 31. I thought he was everything I wanted. Stable, successful, attentive. The words came out flat, practiced. But after the wedding he changed. Or maybe he just stopped pretending. Kyung-soo listened without interrupting, still holding her hand. He controlled everything. Money, friends, my schedule. If I worked late, he'd accuse me of cheating. If clients complimented me, he'd say they were only being polite. He never hit me, but he didn't need to. His words were enough. What happened to your hand? I told him I wanted a divorce. He threw a vase. It shattered against the wall, and when I tried to leave, I cut myself on the glass. She laughed bitterly. He apologized for weeks, bought me flowers, promised to change, and like an idiot, I believed him. How long? 2 more years. Until I finally left while he was traveling for work. Moved everything out in one day, filed papers, blocked his number. She looked up at Kyung-soo. That was 5 years ago. I haven't spoken to him since. Good. The fierce approval in his voice startled her. Good? Men like that don't deserve second chances. His hand moved to her face, cupping her cheek. They deserve consequences. Something in his expression made her nervous. Kyung-soo? He's in the past. Is he? His thumb brushed her cheekbone. Because I've seen the way you flinch when anyone gets too close. The way you apologize for taking up space. The way you build walls so high, even you can't see over them. I'm fine. You're surviving. That's not the same as fine. Tiana pulled back, suddenly furious. And what would you know about it? You think because you've seen violence, you understand trauma? You think because you're some mafia prince, you can psychoanalyze me? I think, Kyung-soo said carefully, that we're both broken in ways that make us dangerous to each other. The admission stopped her cold. What? You want to know why I really came to Jamaica? He leaned back against the counter, exhausted in a way that made him look every one of his 31 years. My father was murdered 9 months ago, assassinated by his own brother over a dispute I still don't fully understand. I inherited his empire at 29, completely unprepared, surrounded by men who wanted me dead. Kyung-soo, I've killed 6 people. He said it flatly, watching her face for reaction. 4 in self-defense, 2 in revenge. I've tortured information out of traitors. I've ordered buildings burned. I've done things that would make you sick. Then why tell me? Because I'm tired of pretending. His eyes met hers, raw and honest. Because you asked me a real question, and I'm giving you a real answer. I came here hunting the man who helped orchestrate my father's death, and I stayed because of you. The kitchen fell silent except for the ocean wind outside. You shouldn't, Tiana whispered. I'm not. I can't be someone's reason. Too late. He moved toward her again. Inevitable as gravity. You already are. This is insane. Yes. We barely know each other. I know enough. His hand found hers again, and this time she let him hold it. I know you're the first person in 6 months who's looked at me like I'm human instead of dangerous. I know you make me want to be better. And I know that terrifies you almost as much as it terrifies me. I can't. Her voice cracked. I can't do this again. Can't let someone in just to watch them leave or change or hurt me. I know. He pulled her closer, slow enough that she could stop him. But I'm not him, Tiana. I won't control you. Won't diminish you. Won't make you smaller to feed my own ego. You might kill me instead. Never. The word was absolute. I'd burn the world before I let anything hurt you. And somehow, impossibly, she believed him. They stood there as afternoon light spilled through the windows. 2 damaged people trying to figure out if they could build something from their broken pieces. Finally, Tiana pulled back. We should see the 3rd property. Right, professional. But when they walked back to the car, his hand found the small of her back, guiding her. And when he opened her door, his fingers lingered on her shoulder. Small touches, careful, testing boundaries. By the time they reached the 3rd estate, a fortress-like compound on a private beach, Tiana had stopped pretending she wasn't affected. This one, she said, surveying the space. It's perfect, because it says I'm powerful enough to own paradise, and dangerous enough to defend it. She turned to him. That's the message you want, isn't it? Strength and control? You understand me better than I expected. I understand power dynamics. It's my job. Is that all this is? A job? Tiana looked at him, this beautiful, dangerous man who wore violence like a second skin, and looked at her like she was salvation. No, she admitted quietly. It's not. His smile was devastating. Good. They worked until sunset, discussing logistics and security measures and contingency plans. Professional. Focused. But when Kyung-soo drove her home, he walked her to the door, and when she turned to say goodnight, he caught her hand one final time. Tiana? Yes? I meant what I said. About protecting you. His expression went serious. Someone's been watching your house at night. I've had my people tracking them. Her blood went cold. What? Don't panic. It's handled. He squeezed her hand. But if you wake up and feel like something's wrong, call me. Not the police. Me. Why? Because I'll actually come. He released her hand, stepped back. Lock your doors. I'll see you tomorrow. She watched him drive away, heart hammering. Inside, she checked every window, every lock, poured herself wine she didn't drink, tried to read but couldn't focus. At 2 a.m., a sound outside her bedroom window made her freeze. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Tiana grabbed her phone with shaking hands, pulled up Kyung-soo's number. The footsteps stopped. She waited, heart pounding, for 5 minutes. 10. Nothing. When she finally found the courage to look outside, the street was empty. But in the morning, she'd find a single cigarette butt on her front steps, the brand Robert used to smoke. And a block away, Kyung-soo sat in his Mercedes watching her house through the darkness, jaw tight and eyes cold. Someone was circling his weakness, and they were about to learn what happened when you threatened something that belonged to him. The event was falling apart. Tiana stood in the compound's service kitchen 48 hours before the dinner, staring at her phone like it had personally betrayed her. 3 vendors had just canceled: the caterer, the florist, and the specialty liquor supplier, all within the span of 90 minutes. This can't be happening. Her voice stayed calm, but her hands shook as she dialed the caterer back, straight to voicemail. Kyung-soo's security chief, a stone-faced man named Jin, leaned against the doorframe. You need something? I need answers. Why did our vendors suddenly pull out? She turned to him. They were confirmed, deposits paid, contracts signed. Jin's expression didn't change. Someone probably paid them more to disappear. Who would? Tiana stopped. The rivals, the ones coming to this dinner, testing Mr. Han's resources. If he can't even pull off a dinner party, why should they trust him to mediate a peace negotiation? Jin shrugged. It's what I do. That's insane. That's business. Tiana wanted to scream. Instead, she pulled up her backup contact lists, started making calls. One caterer was booked. Another didn't have proper security clearance. A third quoted prices triple the budget. By noon, she was pacing the veranda, phone pressed to her ear, leaving increasingly desperate messages. Tiana. She spun around. Kyung-soo stood in the doorway, impeccable in a charcoal suit despite the Caribbean heat. He'd been in meetings all morning. She hadn't seen him since yesterday. Not now, she started. End the call. Something in his voice made her obey. What? You're panicking. I'm problem-solving. You're spiraling. He crossed the veranda in 3 strides. What happened? She wanted to handle it herself, prove she was capable. But the words tumbled out anyway. The cancellations, the sabotage, the impossible timeline. Kyung-soo listened without interrupting. Then he pulled out his phone. What are you doing? Fixing it. He dialed, waited 2 rings. Samuel, it's Kyung-soo Han. I need catering for 15. Day after tomorrow. Private estate. Yes, I know. It's impossible. Double your usual rate, and I'll have my security clear you by tonight. He made 4 more calls in rapid succession. Florist, sommelier, security logistics, backup generator rental. Each conversation was brief, precise, absolute. Money solved problems. But his tone did more. People bent to his will like gravity. Within 30 minutes, every vendor was confirmed. Tiana stared at him. How? Resources. He pocketed his phone. And reputation. People don't say no to me. Because you're terrifying. Because I'm effective. He studied her face. You're angry. I'm grateful. You're angry that I interfered, that I solved your problem, that I made you feel incompetent. The accuracy stung. I had it under control. No. You had panic and pride. He moved closer. This is my event, Tiana. My security risk. My enemies playing games. You were never going to fix this alone because the problem wasn't logistics, it was power. And that's my arena, not yours. So I'm just what? Decoration? You're the only reason I'm not handling this dinner with a gun instead of a menu. His hand found her chin, tilting her face up. You create the illusion of civility. I provide the reality of force. We're partners. Partners don't undermine each other. I saved you. There's a difference. His thumb brushed her lower lip, and her breath caught. Though if you want to fight about it, we can. I'm told I'm very good at fighting. Heat flooded through her despite her anger. This isn't funny. No, it's inevitable. He stepped back, giving her space. We have 48 hours. Walk me through the final setup. She should tell him to leave, should establish boundaries, should remember this was supposed to be professional. Instead, she grabbed her tablet and showed him the floor plans. They worked through lunch, refining details and security protocols. Kyung-soo asked intelligent questions, anticipated problems, deferred to her expertise on atmosphere and presentation. Slowly, her anger cooled into something more dangerous respect. You're good at this, she admitted finally. At what? Letting me lead when it matters, controlling when it doesn't. She looked up from her notes. Robert never understood the difference. Kyung-soo's expression darkened. Don't compare me to him. I'm not. That's the point. She set down her tablet. He needed to control everything to feel powerful. You control strategically. It's attractive? His smile was sharp. Careful, Tiana. That sounds like interest. Professional appreciation. Liar. She was saved by Jin appearing in the doorway. Sir, we have a problem. Kyung-soo's entire demeanor shifted relaxed to lethal in a heartbeat. What kind? Perimeter breach. Southeast section. Single individual. Approached on foot. Armed? Don't know yet. Kyung-soo turned to Tiana. Go inside. Stay away from windows. What's happening? Now. The command in his voice left no room for argument. She fled to the interior office, heart racing. Through the windows, she watched Kyung-soo and Jin disappear toward the estate's edge. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then voices outside raised, angry. Tiana crept closer to the window, and her world stopped, because walking between Jin and another security guard, hands zip-tied behind his back, was Robert, her ex-husband. Here, on Kyung-soo's property. She stumbled backward, hand over her mouth, nausea rising. The door opened. Kyung-soo entered, expression carved from ice. Stay calm. That's... I know who he is. He crossed to her. Did you contact him? What? No. I haven't spoken to him in 5 years. Then he's here for another reason. Kyung-soo's jaw tightened. And I need to find out what. You can't, Kyung-soo, please. I won't hurt him. Yet. He caught her face between his hands. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Tiana's mind spun. Trust a mafia boss to interrogate her abusive ex-husband. The situation was insane, but she nodded. Good. He kissed her forehead quick, possessive. Jin will stay with you. I'll be back in an hour. What are you going to do? Have a conversation. His smile was terrifying. Don't worry. I'm very good at conversations. He left, and Tiana collapsed onto the sofa, shaking. Jin stood by the door, stone-faced. Mr. Han will handle it. That's what I'm afraid of. An hour felt like 6. Tiana couldn't sit still, couldn't focus. She kept seeing Robert's face, hearing his voice in her memory. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. You're lucky I put up with you. When Kyung-soo finally returned, his knuckles were bruised. Is he alive, unharmed, terrified? Kyung-soo poured himself scotch, drank it in one swallow. He came here looking for you. Said he heard you were working for me. Wanted to warn you. Warn me about what? About me. About what kind of man I am. About how you were in danger. Kyung-soo's laugh was bitter. The irony wasn't lost on me. Tiana stood. What did you tell him? That you're under my protection now. That if he comes near you again, I'll break both his hands. That his concern is 15 years too late. He set down the glass with controlled force. And that he's lucky I don't kill him for what he did to you. Kyung-soo. He scarred you. His voice went soft, deadly. Made you afraid of your own worth. And he has the audacity to show up here pretending to care about your safety? It doesn't matter. It matters to me. He crossed to her, and she saw rage burning behind his eyes. Everything about you matters to me. Which is a problem, Tiana. A serious problem. Why? Because emotions make you weak in my world. Caring makes you vulnerable. And I've spent 6 months building walls to survive. He cupped her face roughly. Then you walked into my life and tore them down without even trying. Her breath caught. I didn't. You did. Every smile, every challenge, every moment, you looked at me like I was human. His forehead pressed to hers, and now I'm standing here with bruised knuckles and a man tied up in my garage, thinking about all the ways I could hurt him for what he did to you. That's not strategic. That's dangerous. Then let him go. I will. After you talk to him. Tiana pulled back. What? You need closure. He needs consequences. Kyung-soo's expression was fierce. I'll be with you. He won't touch you, won't threaten you. But you deserve to say whatever you've been holding back for 5 years. I don't need. Yes. You do. His hand slid to her shoulders. Trust me. She wanted to refuse. but something in his certainty made her nod. They walked to the garage together. Robert sat zip-tied to a chair, face pale, eyes wild. "Tiana," he started. "Don't." Her voice came out steady, strong. "Don't say my name like you have the right. I came here to help. You came here to control. One last time. To make yourself feel important." She moved closer, Kyung-soo a silent presence at her back. "But I don't need your help. Don't need your protection. Don't need anything from you. He's dangerous. So was living with you." The words came easier now. "Waking up every day wondering if you'd criticize my clothes or my cooking or my voice. Walking on eggshells in my own home. Apologizing for existing." Robert's face crumpled. "I'm sorry. I don't care." And she realized it was true. "I don't care about your apologies or your warnings or your pathetic attempt to play hero. You're 5 years too late, and a lifetime too cruel." Kyung-soo's hand found the small of her back, steadying. "If you ever come near me again," Tiana continued, voice cold, "I won't need protection. I'll handle you myself." She turned to Kyung-soo. "Get him out of here." They left Robert in the garage with Jin. Outside, Tiana finally let herself shake. "You okay?" Kyung-soo asked quietly. "No," she laughed hollow. "But I will be." They stood in the fading light, and slowly, Tiana felt something inside her unlock. Some final chain Robert had wrapped around her heart. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For not doing it for me. For letting me face him." She looked up at Kyung-soo. "Robert always solved problems, so I'd be grateful. Made himself the hero so I'd need him. You just stood there. Let me be strong. You were always strong." His hand cupped her face. "I just made sure he finally saw it." The last rays of sunset caught his features, and Tiana felt the last of her resistance crumble. "Kyung-soo, I know." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I feel it too. This is dangerous. Everything about me is dangerous." He leaned closer, lips hovering near hers. "But if I kiss you, you won't walk away again. You know that, right?" "Yes. And you're still standing here." "Yes." His smile was devastating. "Then I'll wait. Until you're ready. Until you're certain." He kissed her forehead instead, lingering. "But Tiana, when that moment comes, I'm not holding back. I'm not asking you to." They stood there as darkness fell, two people teetering on the edge of something that would either save them or destroy them both, and neither one was brave enough to step back. The dinner was perfect. Tiana watched from the kitchen entrance as 15 men in expensive suits sat around the mahogany table, discussing logistics and territory with careful politeness. Kyung-soo sat at the head, controlled and commanding, every inch the mediator he'd promised to be. 3 courses in, and no one had died. She considered it a victory. "You've outdone yourself," Jin murmured beside her. "Even the Vancouver crew is impressed. That's because they don't know I've spent the last hour terrified something would go wrong. Welcome to Mr. Han's world. Terror is standard." Tiana smiled despite herself. The past 2 days had been a blur of final preparations and forced normalcy. Robert had been escorted off the property with a warning that made him pale. Kyung-soo had been professional, focused, barely touching her except for necessary proximity. But the tension between them was electric, building toward inevitable explosion. Now, watching him work the room with calculated charm, she finally understood what he was. Not a businessman, not even just a criminal, a king, negotiating with rivals who wanted his throne. The main course was being cleared when Kyung-soo's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, expression flickering just for a second before going neutral again. But Tiana had learned to read him. Something was wrong. He excused himself smoothly, nodding to Jin. 5 minutes later, Jin appeared at her elbow. "We have a situation." Her stomach dropped. "What kind?" "The kind where you need to stay in the kitchen. No arguments." Outside, the sound of approaching vehicles, multiple engines, moving fast. Jin swore under his breath, spoke urgently into his radio. Then to Tiana, "Get to the safe room. Now." "What's happening?" The front windows exploded inward. Gunfire erupted, deafening in the enclosed space. Tiana screamed, dropping to the floor as glass rained down. Jin shoved her toward the hallway, weapon drawn, returning fire at shadows pouring through the breached entrance. "Go!" he shouted. She ran, heart hammering. The sounds of chaos behind her, more gunshots, shouting in Korean and English, furniture shattering. A hand caught her arm. She screamed again, spinning. Kyung-soo, eyes wild, suit torn at the shoulder. "This way." He dragged her through a side door, down a service corridor she hadn't known existed. Behind them, the firefight intensified. Who? Seoul faction. Ambush. His voice was clipped, furious. Someone leaked the location. They burst into a wine cellar. Kyung-soo slammed the door, engaged 3 separate locks, then pulled out his phone. Jin. Status. Jin. He swore viciously in Korean. Signals blocked. Tiana's legs gave out. She slid down the wall, shaking uncontrollably. Those people, the dinner guests, have their own security. They'll be fine. He crouched in front of her, cupping her face. Are you hurt? No, Kyung-soo, what's happening? Exactly what I feared. Someone in my organization sold me out. His jaw tightened. They waited until I had potential allies in the building, then attacked. Make it look like I arranged an ambush myself. Destroy the peace negotiations and my reputation in one move. That's strategic, brutal, effective. He pulled a weapon from his ankle holster. Checked the magazine. We need to move. This room is secure but not indefinitely. Move where? Anywhere but here. He stood, extending his hand. Trust me? Tiana looked at him, this dangerous, beautiful man who'd walked into her life 3 months ago and turned everything upside down. She should run, should hide, should never have gotten involved. Instead, she took his hand. Yes. They moved through the cellar to another hidden exit, emerging into the gardens. The compound was chaos, gunfire, shouting, vehicles screeching away. Jin's security team was pushing back the attackers, but the damage was done. Kyung-soo led her toward the beach, keeping to the shadows. They were 20 feet from the water when a man stepped out of the darkness ahead. He said something in Korean. Kyung-soo responded, voice hard. The man raised a weapon. Everything happened at once. Kyung-soo shoved Tiana behind him, pulled his own gun, fired 3 times in rapid succession. The attacker dropped, and Kyung-soo was moving again, dragging her toward the waterline where a small boat was beached. Get in, Kyung-soo. Now. She scrambled into the boat. Kyung-soo pushed them into the surf, jumped in, started the engine. They roared away from shore as more gunfire erupted behind them. Tiana looked back and saw the compound burning. 20 minutes later, they landed at a private dock, miles down the coast. Kyung-soo secured the boat with practiced efficiency, then led her to awaiting car keys already in the ignition. Safe house, he explained tersely. 40 minutes from here. They drove in silence. Tiana's mind couldn't process what had just happened. The violence, the efficiency, the way Kyung-soo had killed that man without hesitation. You're in shock, he said quietly. That's normal. Normal? She laughed hollow. Nothing about this is normal. For me it is. He glanced at her. And now it is for you too. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just... She closed her eyes. Tell me the truth. All of it. No more evasions. Okay. Okay? You deserve the truth. He turned onto a darkened road. My name is Kyung-soo Han. I'm the head of the Han Crime Syndicate, one of the largest Korean organizations in the Pacific. We control shipping routes, real estate, and security operations across 6 countries. My father built the empire. I inherited it when his brother murdered him to take power. Tiana's breath stopped. I killed my uncle in retaliation, slowly, publicly, to send a message. His voice stayed level, factual. Since then, I've been consolidating power and eliminating threats. The man who ambushed us tonight, former ally who decided I was too young, too soft. He'll regret that. How? By the time I'm done, he won't have an organization left to lead. Kyung-soo's hands tightened on the wheel. I don't lose, Tiana. I don't forgive. And I don't let attacks on my people go unanswered. Is that what I am? Your people? You're more than that. He pulled onto a hidden driveway, stopped in front of a small beach cottage. You're the one thing in this world I can't strategize around, the variable that ruins every careful plan. They got out. The cottage was simple, isolated, defensible. Kyung-soo checked the perimeter before unlocking the door. Inside, Tiana finally let herself feel everything. The fear, the adrenaline crash, the horror. She sank onto the sofa, trembling. Kyung-soo knelt in front of her, taking her hands. Say something. I should run from you. Yes. I should call the police. Should testify. Should. Yes. But I won't. She met his gaze. And I don't know what that makes me. Mine. The word was soft. Absolute. It makes you mine. That's not. He kissed her. Not gentle. Not careful. Desperate and claiming and full of everything they'd been holding back for 3 months. His hands cupped her face like she was salvation, and she kissed back like he was air and she'd been drowning. When they broke apart, both breathless, his forehead pressed to hers. I warned you, he whispered. I told you what I was. I know, and you're still here. I'm terrified. Of you, of this, of what it means. She pulled back to see his face. But I'm not leaving. Why? Because you're the first person in 5 years who makes me feel alive instead of just surviving. Her voice cracked. Because you scare me in all the right ways. And because when those gunmen came, your first instinct was to protect me. Not your allies. Not your business. Me. Always you. He stood, pulling her up with him. From now on, everything I do is about keeping you safe. It's not negotiable. His expression went hard. You're in my world now, Tiana. That means you're a target, which means you stay close, follow security protocols, and let me protect you. I'm not some damsel. You're the woman I love. The words stopped her cold. And love makes you vulnerable in ways you can't imagine. So yes, you'll have guards. Yes, you'll change your routines. And yes, you'll let me turn your life upside down. You love me? Terrifyingly. He pulled her close. Completely. Since the moment you challenged that hotel manager with your clipboard like it was a weapon. Tiana laughed despite everything. That was 3 months ago. I'm a fast decision maker. His smile was soft. Say it back. Tiana, I love you. The admission felt like jumping off a cliff. God help me, I love you. He kissed her again. Deeper this time, his hands tangling in her hair. When they finally broke apart, both were shaking. What happens now? She whispered. Now we survive. He tucked her hair behind her ear. Together. And if we can't, then we go down fighting. His expression was fierce. But I don't lose, remember? And I don't let anyone take what's mine. Possessive much? You have no idea. Despite the chaos, despite the danger, Tiana felt herself smile. She'd fallen for a mafia boss. A killer. A man whose world was built on violence and strategy and secrets. And somehow, impossibly, it felt like coming home. 3 days after the ambush, Tiana stood in the bathroom of Kyungsu's safe house, staring at her reflection and wondering who she'd become. The woman looking back wore borrowed clothes, one of Kyungsu's shirts, rolled sleeves, bare feet. Her hair was loose, face free of makeup. She looked younger, softer, terrified. You okay? Kyungsu's voice came from the bedroom. Define okay. He appeared in the doorway, concern etched across his features. Since the attack, he'd been hovering protective to the point of suffocating. Jin and 2 other guards were stationed outside. Kyungsu's phone rang constantly with updates she wasn't privy to. I need to leave the house, she said finally. Not safe. I don't care. I'm going crazy in here. She turned to face him. I need to check on my office, my clients, my actual life. Your actual life almost got you killed 3 days ago. Because of you. Because I got involved in your world. The words came out sharper than intended. Maybe if I just go back to normal. There is no normal anymore. Kyungsu crossed his arms. You think they don't know who you are now? That ambush was coordinated, Tiana. They knew exactly when and where to hit, which means they've been watching us for weeks. Then what am I supposed to do? Hide forever? Until I eliminate the threat, yes. And how long will that take? However long it takes. His jaw tightened. I won't risk you. You don't get to make that choice. Her phone rang, interrupting the argument. Unknown number. She answered before Kyungsu could stop her. Hello? Tiana. Robert's voice made her blood run cold. We need to talk. She looked at Kyungsu, whose expression had gone deadly. He mouthed. Speaker. She switched the call. How did you get this number? I've always known where you were, who you were with. Robert's laugh was bitter. Did you really think I'd let you go completely? What do you want? To warn you. That man you're hiding with, he's not who you think. The business associates from the other night? One of them was my employer. Tiana's world tilted. What? I work for the Vancouver faction. Have for 3 years. And they sent me to Jamaica to get information on Kyung-Soo Han. Robert's voice dropped. Tiana, he's using you. He knew about our connection before he ever met you. The whole thing was a setup. You're lying. Am I? Ask him about the surveillance photos. Ask him why he really came to that gala 3 months ago. Ask him. Kyung-Soo grabbed the phone. Where are you? Static. Then. Close enough to matter. If you want her to stay safe, Han, you'll meet me. Alone. 1 hour. I'll text the location. The line went dead. Silence filled the room like poison. Tiana, Kyung-Soo started. Is it true? Her voice shook. Did you know about Robert before we met? Yes. The admission hit like a fist. I knew you'd been married. I knew his name. I knew he had connections to the Vancouver crew. Kyung-Soo's expression was anguished. But I didn't arrange our meeting. Didn't fake what happened between us. I swear. How am I supposed to believe you? Tears burned behind her eyes. How am I supposed to trust anything when you've been lying from the beginning? I haven't lied. Omission is lying. She backed away from him. You let me think this was random. Let me think you chose me because of who I am, not because I was connected to your investigation. I did choose you. He moved toward her, desperate. Everything else might have been strategy, but us? That was real. Is real. I don't know what's real anymore. His phone buzzed. Text message with an address. Kyung-soo swore. It's a trap. Of course it's a trap. Tiana wrapped her arms around herself. But you're going anyway, aren't you? I have to. Why? Robert's nothing. A pawn in whatever game you're playing. He knows too much. And if he's working for Vancouver, that means they've been using him to gather intelligence on you. Kyung-soo's voice went cold, which means he's been watching you for 3 years. While you thought you were free, the horror of it sank in. Oh God, I'm ending this. Tonight. He grabbed his jacket. Jin will stay with you. Don't leave this house. Kyung-soo, wait, but he was already moving. She lasted 30 minutes before she couldn't take it anymore. I need to go, she told Jin. Mr. Han's orders are not my orders. She grabbed her phone. Either you drive me or I call a cab. Your choice. Jin swore in Korean but ultimately followed her to the car. The address Robert had sent was a half-finished construction site on the edge of Montego Bay, exposed rebar and empty concrete shells illuminated by harsh work lights. Kyung-soo's Mercedes was already there. Stay in the car, Jin commanded. But Tiana was already moving. She heard voices echoing through the skeletal building. Second floor. She climbed the scaffolding carefully, heart hammering. Pathetic, really, Robert was saying. Using her to get to me. Did you think I wouldn't notice? I didn't use her. Kyung-soo's voice was ice. You did. Spending 3 years embedded in Vancouver's organization, sending them information, watching your ex-wife to leverage her if needed. I was protecting her. You were controlling her from a distance, just like you did when you were married. Kyung-soo stepped closer. But that ends now. You think killing me will change anything? I'm not the only one watching her. Vancouver has files, photos, weeks of surveillance. You've made her a target just by touching her. Then I'll eliminate Vancouver too. You're one man. I'm a man who's very good at eliminating threats. Kyung-soo pulled his weapon. Last chance. Tell me everything Vancouver knows. Every detail. Every contact. Tiana reached the second floor in time to see Robert reach for something behind his back. She screamed. Kyung-soo. He spun. Saw her. Horror flooding his face. Robert pulled a gun. Kyung-soo fired first. The shot echoed through the empty building. Robert dropped, clutching his shoulder, weapon clattering away. Kyung-soo was at Tiana's side instantly, hands on her face. What are you doing here? I told you to stay. I couldn't. Her voice broke. I couldn't let you face this alone. Touching. Robert gasped from the floor. But stupid. Now you're both trapped. Lights flooded the construction site. Vehicles surrounded the building. Through the windows, Tiana saw men pouring out, weapons drawn. Vancouver backup. Robert laughed despite his pain. Did you really think I'd meet you without insurance? Kyung-soo pulled Tiana behind him, weapon tracking the exits. They were surrounded. Outnumbered. Trapped. Jin. He spoke into his radio. Extraction. Now. They've got the perimeter locked. Jin's voice crackled back. You need to hold position. For how long? 15 minutes. Maybe less. Kyung-soo looked at Tiana, and she saw something she'd never seen before. Fear. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have kept you out of this. Too late for that. She grabbed his hand. So what do we do? Survive. He pulled her toward the back of the floor, positioning them behind a concrete pillar. Stay behind me, whatever happens. Don't. She cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. Don't say goodbye. We're getting out of this. Tiana. She kissed him, hard, desperate, full of everything unsaid. His arms came around her, crushing her against him, and for a moment, the danger didn't matter. When they broke apart, his forehead pressed to hers. I love you. I know. She smiled despite the tears. I love you too. Gunfire erupted below. Vancouver's men were storming the building. Kyung-soo positioned himself in front of her, weapon ready. Stay down. Don't move. The next 5 minutes were chaos. Men poured onto the second floor. Kyung-soo returned fire with terrifying precision, dropping 3 attackers, but more kept coming. Then, suddenly counter gunfire from a different direction. Jin and Kyung-soo's security team had arrived, flanking Vancouver's men from behind. The ambush became a firefight, and in the chaos, Kyung-soo grabbed Tiana's hand. Run, now. They fled down a back stairwell, Jin covering their escape. Outside, a car waited, engine running, door open. They dove inside. The driver, one of Kyung-soo's men, peeled out as bullets sparked off the chassis. In the back seat, Kyung-soo pulled Tiana onto his lap, checking her for injuries with shaking hands. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? I'm fine. I'm fine. She caught his face between her hands. Kyung-soo, look at me. I'm okay. He crushed her against him, breathing hard against her hair. You could have died. Because of me. Because I dragged you into this. I chose this. She pulled back to see his face. I chose you. Even knowing the danger. Even knowing the cost. Why? Because you're worth it. She kissed him softly. Because I'd rather have one real thing in a dangerous world than a lifetime of safe mediocrity. Something in his expression cracked. Tiana, this changes everything, she whispered, echoing the words from the safe house. It already has, he replied. They stayed tangled together as the car sped through the night, two people who'd chosen each other despite every rational reason not to. Behind them, sirens wailed. Vancouver's operation was blown. Robert was wounded, captured, finished, but the war was far from over. And as Kyung-soo held Tiana like she was the only thing keeping him human, both of them knew, whatever came next, they'd face it together, or not at all. The safe house became a prison. After the construction site ambush, Kyung-soo moved them to a compound outside, Ocho Rios, walled, guarded, isolated. Tiana's phone was confiscated. Her clients were told she'd taken emergency leave. Her life was suspended while Kyung-soo dismantled Vancouver's operations piece by piece. She should resent it, should fight against the cage. Instead, she watched him work and understood. This was love in his world. Protection at any cost. 3 more weeks, he said one night, standing on the balcony overlooking the ocean. Vancouver's leadership is fractured. Once I eliminate their remaining infrastructure, you can go back to your life. And you? Tiana joined him at the railing. Will you be in that life? If you'll have me. That's not an answer. He turned to face her, and she saw the exhaustion carved into his features. Since the ambush, he'd been operating on minimal sleep, coordinating attacks, attending strategy meetings via encrypted calls. The truth? I don't know if I can give you normal. His hand found hers. I'll always be who I am. Always have enemies. Always put you at risk, just by loving you. Then stop loving me. Can't. He pulled her close. Believe me, I've tried. She laughed despite herself. Has anyone told you you're terrible at romance? You're the first person I've tried it with. How am I doing? Honestly, terribly. She wrapped her arms around his neck. But I'll take brutal honesty over pretty lies any day. He kissed her slow, deep, full of unspoken promises. When they broke apart, his eyes were dark with want. Come to bed, he murmured against her mouth. Kyung-soo, just to sleep. I just want to hold you. His vulnerability was devastating. Please. They lay tangled together in the darkness. And for a few hours, the world outside ceased to exist. But reality always intrudes. 2 days later, Tiana was sorting through her permitted emails when she found a strange attachment. Subject line, you deserve to know. She almost deleted it, almost told Kyung-soo. Instead, she opened it. Inside, a surveillance photo of her sister, Janelle. Date stamp, 4 months ago. Location, Kingston. Standing outside a warehouse Tiana didn't recognize. Another photo. Janelle meeting with a man Tiana had never seen. Another. Janelle handing over a briefcase. And a document financial records showing transactions between Janelle's business account and a corporation Tiana recognized from Kyung-soo's investigation. Han Enterprises. His company. Her blood went cold. She scrolled further. More photos. More transactions. Evidence of a relationship between Kyung-soo and her sister that predated their meeting by 6 months. At the bottom, a note. He's been using your family to track Vancouver's money laundering. Your sister was the unwitting middleman. He knew about you long before the gala. A friend. Tiana's hands shook as she closed the laptop. Every conversation replayed in her mind. Every touch, every promise, every declaration of love. Had any of it been real? Or was she just another pawn in his strategy? She waited until Kyung-soo returned from his meetings. He found her on the balcony. Laptop open. Evidence displayed. His face went white. Tiana. Don't. Her voice was ice. Don't lie. Don't explain. Just answer. Did you know about my sister before you met me? Silence. Kyung-soo. Yes, the word was barely audible. I knew Janelle was connected to one of Vancouver's money laundering operations. I'd been tracking her transactions for 3 months before the gala. And you never thought to mention this? I was protecting you. By lying? She stood, fury replacing the numbness. By letting me believe our meeting was fate instead of calculated manipulation. It wasn't manipulation. Then what was it? She gestured at the photos. You had my sister under surveillance. You knew her schedule, her business, her connections. And when you realized I was her family, you what? Decided I'd be useful? It wasn't like that. He moved toward her, and she stepped back. Don't touch me. Don't you dare touch me. Tiana, please. I didn't come to that gala for you. I came because the hotel owner owed me a favor, and I needed access to the venue. Meeting you was an accident, but staying wasn't. The pieces fell into place. You saw an opportunity, a way to get closer to Janelle's operation through me. How convenient that I fell in love with you. That's not—" his voice broke. "I didn't plan to fall for you. Didn't expect to care. But I did. And every feeling, every moment since then has been real. How am I supposed to believe you?" Tears burned behind her eyes. "How am I supposed to trust anything when the foundation was built on lies? Because I'm telling you the truth now." He dropped to his knees in front of her, this powerful, dangerous man, brought low by her pain. "I came to Jamaica for revenge, for justice, for blood. But I stayed because of you, because you made me feel human again, because loving you is the first good thing I'd done in months. Get up. Not until you believe me. I can't." The words tore out of her. "I can't believe you because even if you're telling the truth now, you've been lying for months. And I just survived one relationship built on manipulation. I won't do it again. Tiana, leave." She turned away, unable to look at him. "Just leave. I need space. I need to think. I can't leave you unprotected. Then assign someone else. But get out of my sight." She heard him stand, heard his footsteps retreat. The door closed, and she finally let herself break, sobbing, furious, betrayed, again, always again. Jin found her an hour later, still on the balcony. "He's gone," the security chief said quietly. "Left me in charge of your protection. Asked me to give you this." He handed her a sealed envelope, inside a handwritten note. "I didn't come for you, but I stayed because of you. Everything I've done since the moment we met, every decision, every risk has been about protecting you. If you can't forgive me for the deception, I understand. But know this, I would do it all again, because the alternative was never meeting you at all, and a world where I don't know you isn't one worth living in." Okay. Beneath it, a second document. Encrypted financial records showing Kyung-soo had paid off Janelle's debts 3 weeks after meeting Tiana, protected her sister from Vancouver's retaliation, ensured her safety even when he could have used her as leverage. He'd been protecting her family while courting her, lying to her while saving everyone she loved. Tiana pressed her hands to her face, trying to process the contradiction. How could someone be so brutal and so tender, so deceptive and so protective? "He loves you," Jin said simply. "In case you were wondering, I've known him 10 years, and I've never seen him like this. Obsessed, desperate, human. Is that supposed to make me feel better? No, it's supposed to help you understand what you're walking away from." Jin headed toward the door, paused. "He didn't have to tell you about your sister, could have kept it hidden forever. But he chose honesty, even knowing it might destroy you both. Think about what that means." Alone again, Tiana stared at the evidence of Kyung-soo's dual nature, the surveillance photos that proved his deception, and the financial records that proved his protection. He was a liar who told the truth when it hurt him most, a manipulator who'd refused to use her as leverage, a killer who'd killed to keep her safe. And somehow, impossibly, she still loved him, which terrified her more than anything else. Tiana lasted 3 days before the guilt ate her alive. She'd sent him away, rejected him, refused his protection, and every hour since, she'd felt his absence like a wound. Jin updated her dutifully. Kyung-soo was dismantling Vancouver's operations with ruthless efficiency. 3 more safe houses raided, 2 more lieutenants captured. The organization was hemorrhaging resources and manpower. But there was something else in Jin's voice. Concern. Fear. "What aren't you telling me?" she demanded on the 3rd day. Jin hesitated. "There's been a betrayal. Inside Mr. Han's organization." Her blood went cold. "What kind of betrayal?" "His second-in-command sold information to Vancouver. They know his location, his schedule, his vulnerabilities." Jin's expression was grave. "There's a hit squad in Jamaica. They're planning to move during Carnival tomorrow night. Maximum chaos, maximum casualties. Where's Kyung-soo now?" "Montego Bay, coordinating defenses." Jin met her gaze. "He's walking into a trap. He knows it. He's going anyway." "Why?" "Because if he doesn't, they'll come here, and he won't risk you." Tiana's world tilted. "Take me to him, Mrs. Campbell. Now. I won't let him die because I was too stubborn to forgive him." Jin studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Get your things." Carnival had transformed downtown Montego Bay into a riot of color and sound. Thousands of people dancing in the streets, music blasting from every corner, costumes glittering under streetlights, perfect cover for murder. Jin navigated through the chaos to a hotel on the waterfront. Kyung-soo had taken the penthouse 20 floors up, clear sightlines, defendable, but also a cage with limited exits. They rode the elevator in tense silence. Jin knocked in a specific pattern. The door opened, revealing one of Kyung-soo's guards, and behind him, Kyung-soo. He looked like hell. 3 days of minimal sleep, constant stress, the weight of leadership carved into every line of his face. When he saw Tiana, something cracked in his expression. "What are you doing here?" "Saving you from yourself." She pushed past the guard. "Jin told me about the trap. Then you understand why you need to leave." "I'm not leaving." She crossed to him, grabbed his jacket. "You don't get to sacrifice yourself and call it love. You don't get to walk into an ambush so I can be safe. Tiana, I forgive you." The words came out fierce, desperate. "For the surveillance, the deception, all of it. I understand why you did it, and I'm done punishing us both for your past choices. You shouldn't." "Too late, I already have." She cupped his face, forcing him to see her. "So now you're going to let me help you survive this, together. Like it was always supposed to be." Kyung-soo's hands came up to cover hers. "They'll kill you. They'll try. But you once told me I don't scare easy." She smiled despite the fear. "Time to prove it." He kissed her desperate, claiming, full of everything unsaid. When they broke apart, his forehead pressed to hers. "You're the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me," he whispered. "Good. Now what's the plan?" Jin spread out a map of the hotel. "Vancouver's men will hit during the fireworks at midnight. 3 entry points: main elevator, service stairs, and the fire escape. We have 8 men total. They'll bring at least 20. So we're outnumbered." Tiana studied the layout. "What about evacuation?" "Helicopter on the roof. But we'd have to reach it." Kyung-soo pointed to the stairwell. "Which means fighting through whatever's waiting. Then we hold them here as long as possible. Thin their numbers before attempting escape." She looked at the penthouse layout. "Where are the choke points?" For the next hour, they planned. Positioned guards, set traps, prepared fallback positions. Tiana felt strangely calm, like years of orchestrating events had trained her for this moment. At 11:45, the fireworks started. At 11:52, the power went out. "Here we come," Jin murmured, weapon ready. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. Gunfire exploded. Kyung-soo's guards returned fire, holding the elevator bay. But within seconds, the service stairs door burst open, more attackers, flanking from multiple directions. "Fall back!" Kyung-soo shouted. They retreated to the penthouse's interior, using furniture as cover. Tiana stayed low, exactly where Kyung-soo had positioned her, watching the chaos with clinical detachment. This was survival. No room for panic. A grenade rolled through the doorway. "Down!" Kyung-soo threw himself over Tiana as the explosion ripped through the outer room. When the smoke cleared, 3 of their guards were down. Vancouver's men poured through the breach. Jin was firing in controlled bursts, backing toward the bedroom. "We need to move." Kyung-soo pulled Tiana to her feet. "Roof access. Now." They ran for the service stairs, Jin covering their retreat. Behind them, gunfire and shouting, the remaining guards buying them time with their lives. The rooftop was chaos. Fireworks exploded overhead, illuminating the helicopter waiting on the landing pad. 20 yards away, 20 yards through open ground. "Go!" Jin shoved them forward. They ran. Bullets sparked off the rooftop. Tiana felt something tug her dress but didn't stop. Kyung-soo's hand was locked around hers, dragging her forward. 10 yards. 5. A figure emerged from behind the helicopter, Vancouver's lieutenant, weapon raised. Kyung-soo fired, but the gun clicked empty. The lieutenant smiled. Tiana grabbed the fire extinguisher, mounted near the helipad, swung it with everything she had. It connected with the man's skull, dropping him instantly. Kyung-soo stared at her. "Remind me never to make you angry. Just get us out of here." They climbed into the helicopter. The pilot, one of Kyung-soo's men, started the engine as Jin reached them, firing backward at pursuing attackers. The helicopter lifted, and for a moment, Tiana saw the battlefield below. Bodies, chaos, the hotel burning. Then they were rising above it, into the smoke and fireworks, leaving the violence behind. Kyung-soo pulled her against him, both of them shaking. "You're insane. You're welcome." She looked at his shoulder, where blood seeped through his shirt. "You're hit. Graze. I've had worse." But his grip on her was crushing. "You saved my life. You've saved mine a dozen times. Consider us even." Jin handed them both water, assessing their injuries with practiced efficiency. "We're headed to the safe house in Ocho Rios. From there we end this," Kyung-soo interrupted. "Vancouver's leadership is in Kingston. We hit them tomorrow while they're celebrating tonight's attack." "Kyung-soo," Tiana started. "I'm done running. Done defending." His eyes were cold, final. "They tried to kill you. That has consequences. She should argue, should counsel peace. Instead, she took his hand. Then we finish it together." Jin smiled grimly. "Welcome to the war, Mrs. Campbell." "I prefer Miss." She looked at Kyung-soo. "But I'll make an exception. Even through the pain and fear." He smiled. "Are you proposing?" "Maybe." She kissed him softly. Ask me again when we're not actively being hunted. Deal. They flew through the night, two people who'd chosen each other despite every rational reason not to. And somewhere in the chaos, Tiana realized she wasn't afraid anymore. Not of Kyung-soo, not of his world, not of the violence that came with loving him, because she'd faced death and chosen life, faced betrayal and chosen forgiveness, faced every reason to walk away and chosen to stay. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. The Vancouver leadership fell within 48 hours. Kyung-soo orchestrated the assault with surgical precision, simultaneous strikes on 3 locations, capturing the remaining directors before they could scatter. By the time Jamaican authorities responded, the damage was done. The war was over. Tiana watched from the safe house as news reports covered the gang violence that had erupted across Kingston. She knew the truth. Kyung-soo had systematically dismantled an organization that had threatened him, protected her by eliminating every threat. When he finally returned, exhausted and blood-stained, she was waiting. It's done, he said simply. I know. She handed him whiskey, watched him drink. What happens now? Now we decide who we want to be. He set down the glass. I have a choice. Stay in Jamaica and build something legitimate. Or return to Seoul and continue running the syndicate. What do you want? You. The answer was immediate. Everything else is negotiable. Tiana moved into his arms, resting her head against his chest. I'm terrified of what loving you means. But I'm more terrified of losing you. Then don't. He tilted her face up. Marry me. Not someday. Not eventually. Now. Tomorrow. As soon as we can arrange it. That's insane? Yes. But we've established I'm terrible at romance. His smile was soft. Tiana, I've spent 10 years building walls and eliminating threats. And in 3 months, you've made me want something different. Something real. A life instead of a survival strategy. I'm 45 years old. And I'm 31. I don't care about the age gap, the cultural differences, the complicated past. I care that you make me want to be better. His hands cupped her face. Say yes. This is crazy. Is that a no? Tiana looked at him, this dangerous, beautiful man who'd walked into her life and turned everything upside down. Who'd lied to her and protected her. Who'd killed for her and nearly died for her. Who loved her with a ferocity that should terrify her. Yes, she heard herself say. Yes, I'll marry you. He kissed her like a man starving, lifting her off the ground, spinning her until she laughed despite everything. Tomorrow, he said against her mouth. I'm not waiting. Kyung-soo. Tomorrow. Private ceremony. Jin and your sister as witnesses. Unless you want the circus of a big wedding? God, no. She smiled. But I need to tell Janelle. She deserves to know everything. Something flickered in his expression. About that. What? He set her down carefully. There's something else I need to tell you. About your sister. The words hit like ice water. What about her? Let me show you something first. He retrieved his laptop, pulled up encrypted files. These are the complete financial records from Vancouver's money laundering operation. Tiana scanned the documents, seeing Janelle's business account listed repeatedly. You said she was an unwitting middleman. I lied. Kyung-soo's voice went flat. Or rather, I told you what I thought was true at the time. But after we raided Vancouver's headquarters, I found additional records. He opened another file. More transactions. These ones deliberately structured. Payments routed through shell corporations. Timestamps showing calculated patterns. Janelle wasn't being used. Kyung-soo continued quietly. She was an active participant. She helped Vancouver launder $40 million over 3 years. And she got paid very well for it. Tiana's legs gave out. She sank onto the sofa, staring at the evidence. That's not possible. Janelle would never. I'm sorry. He knelt in front of her. I wanted to tell you weeks ago, but after everything with Robert, after you'd just learned to trust me again, I couldn't. You kept this from me? Her voice cracked. After promising no more lies, it wasn't to manipulate you. It was to protect you from another betrayal. His hands found hers. Your sister made terrible choices, but she's still your sister. I didn't want to destroy that relationship. So you just decided for me? Decided I couldn't handle the truth? Yes. He met her gaze steadily. And I'd do it again, because watching you break over Robert was hard enough. I wasn't going to be the one to break you again. Tiana pulled her hands away, trying to process. Where is she now? Janelle? Witness protection. I arranged it 3 weeks ago, after Vancouver fell. She testified against the remaining leaders in exchange for immunity. She's safe, starting over somewhere new. Does she know about us? Yes. She asked me to give you this. He handed her a sealed letter. Tiana's hands shook as she opened it. Tiana, I don't expect forgiveness. What I did was unforgivable. I got involved with Vancouver because I was drowning in debt after my business failed. They offered me a way out, and I took it without thinking about consequences. I know Kyung-soo told you I was an unwitting victim. That was my lie, not his. I asked him to protect you from the truth, but you deserve to know. I made those choices deliberately. I betrayed our family's trust. And I'm sorry. Kyung-soo saved my life. When Vancouver realized their operation was compromised, they planned to kill everyone connected to it, including me. He got me out, protected me, arranged this new life, not because of what I'd done, but because of what I meant to you. He loves you more than I've ever seen anyone love anyone. Please don't let my mistakes destroy that. I'm sorry for everything. Jay. Tiana read the letter twice, tears streaming down her face. She's been lying to me for 3 years. Yes. And you knew for weeks. Yes. I should be furious at you. You should. Kyung-soo's expression was anguished. But I'd make the same choice again. Because some truths destroy people, and I'd rather you hate me for protecting you than break under the weight of betrayal. Tiana looked at him, this complicated, dangerous man who'd lied to save her from pain. I'm not going to hate you, she said finally, but I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more protection through deception. If something's going to hurt me, I need to know. I need to be the one who decides how to handle it. Even if it destroys you, even then. She took his hands. I survived, Robert. I survived Vancouver. I can survive the truth, but I can't survive a relationship built on you deciding what I'm strong enough to handle. He pulled her close, pressing his face against her hair. I promise. No more secrets. Even when it hurts. Even when it hurts, she confirmed. They sat there as sunlight crept through the windows, two damaged people trying to build something healthy from broken pieces. Finally, Tiana pulled back. So, tomorrow? Still want to marry me now that I come with even more family drama? More than ever. He kissed her softly. Though I should warn you, my family's not exactly simple either. Seoul Mafia politics? Think Korean family drama meets organized crime meets international business negotiations. His smile was wry. My mother's going to hate you. Why? Because you'll make me happy. And happy men make poor crime lords. He cupped her face. But I don't care. I choose you over the empire. Don't choose. Tiana met his gaze steadily. Find a way to have both. Build something legitimate in Seoul while maintaining the power to protect us. I'm not asking you to stop being who you are. You'd really marry a crime lord? I'd really marry you. Everything else is just details. He kissed her again, deeper this time, full of promise and hope, and the beginning of something new. 1 year later, Tiana stood on the balcony of their Seoul penthouse, watching the city lights glitter below. Behind her, the party continued. Kyung-soo's business associates celebrating the launch of Han Tech, his legitimate tech investment firm. A hand slid around her waist. You okay? She leaned back against Kyung-soo. Just thinking. About? How much has changed? A year ago, I was planning charity galas and hiding from life. Now I'm in Seoul, married to you, helping run a tech empire. Regrets? None. She turned to face him. Though your mother still hates me, she'll come around. Give her another 5 years. His smile was soft. You proved everyone wrong, you know. The age gap skeptics, the cultural difference critics, the people who said we'd never work. We almost didn't, but we did. He kissed her forehead. And we will. Every day. For the rest of our lives. Tiana looked at her husband. Still dangerous. Still complicated. But hers. And she realized. This was what happened when you stopped hiding. When you faced fear and chose love anyway. When you let someone see all your broken pieces and trusted them not to cut themselves